Hi. Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you can all hear me. I'm just going to be introducing this session shortly, and then we'll be passing it over to everyone else in the call today. It's going to be, an amazing talk. So I'm not going to really introduce it in general. I'll let Samia herself, along with everyone else, talk. So hope you all enjoy, and we'll see you at the end. Bye.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Feeling so much excited that we are live now, and it's just like the usual Inspire time. Such a positive vibes. I like the dynamics that we've gone from Microsoft Teams only to bringing the sessions live to people who are across the globe. One thing I really like about YouTube sessions is that once we are done, the session is available. You can play it again. I personally am a fan of listening to the recordings on MSPInspire at least 3 times after each session. I make sure I take away every details that everyone says and then try to make sure that we are meeting the target of what people really expect from us. And today's session is absolutely great. AI or human? What have you heard about AI? What do you think people are saying about it? What is your thought at all? And today we are not only here. We are all ladies. The ladies are more than the guys, right? Yeah. So we have Samia, we have Nandini, we have Zubaida, we have Victoria. But what is really nice here is that we also have Salman and then we have Usman, right? And we are all joining from different parts of the world right now, all of us. I don't think even one of us, or maybe 2 of us come from the same region right now. Okay, so maybe I'll just leave it for Nandini, Nandini followed by Victoria, then Zubaida, and Usman. So we just introduce ourselves and where exactly we are, joining from, so audience will know exactly what they are going to expect after this session. Then we hand over to Samia to introduce herself. Nandini, I think you are muted. Everyone should unmute herself or himself right now.
Hey everyone, and I'm really glad to be here. And I'm Nandini Sharma, and I am a sophomore year student. I am from India. So yeah.
Awesome. So
Hi guys.
we would have Victoria. Yeah, awesome.
Hi guys, my name is Victoria. I'm actually talking from Brazil right now. It's like 1:30 p.m. here, but everyone here is in a different time frame, probably. I've been in MSc for almost a year now, gonna make a year in September, so I'm very excited to be here today.
Awesome. And Zubaida?
Hi, my name is Zubaida Bahar, and I am from Mozambique in South of Africa. And it's my first year as an MSP, and I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Usman.
Hello everyone. So first of all, it's a really pleasure, and my name is Maslam. I am an MSP residing from the Pakistan region, and it's really great to be connected with so many people from around the world, and seeing so many different faces from different regions. So I'm truly excited to be a part of this Inspire podcast, especially today having someone as so enthusiastic and intelligent as Samia Khalid. So kudos to everyone.
Awesome. We are all excited right now, and Samia, I think you can do introduction of yourself. That would be good.
Yes, so hello everyone, this is Samia. I'm first of all so excited to be with all of you here. It's lovely, like we have people from India, South Africa, like Brazil and like Pakistan, and I'm based in Seattle, and I'm sure people from all over the world. So this is so cool, right? Wouldn't have been possible in the events we were having before. That's so good. Actually, I would love to know also where people are joining us online from, guys. So please let us know in the comments. We'd love to know, where are you right now? So yeah, I am an applied scientist and engineer at Microsoft. Yeah, right now based in Redmond. That's about me, and we'll dive deeper, I guess, in the rest of the session.
Awesome. Yeah, so that is it. Please put it in the chat. Where exactly are you joining us from? Let us know what your thoughts are, especially about this session. I'm truly excited. This is one of the most relevant talk to have right now. We're not going to show you, models flying all over the screens, right? But we are essentially going to break things down from the career path, and a lot of exciting questions from everyone here to ask. So if you have any question, just put it in the chat. We'll take it up, and we are going to have Khalid to answer you. So AI and human. Samia, I think I should just, start with my questions, off-head questions, stuff like that. Yeah. So Samia, you introduce yourself, and you are you work at Microsoft, and a scientist. You've worked in the field of artificial intelligence. What exactly do you do? Before we go to what exactly you do, because I think some of the panelists are going to ask that question. So just tell us a bit about what AI is in general. What would you say AI is?
Well, in general, so that we are all on the same page, what AI really means is that when machines have the human-like intelligence, so whether that's being able to understand natural language or speak, for example, right now we are saying things, we are having a conversation, so is the machine able to understand it? So whether it's speech, it's written text, it's images, or any other kind of reasoning. So the whole idea is that to give machines that kind of understanding, right? And then there are part of that, there is machine learning and deep learning, which are just a way to achieve AI. So AI is a generic term that represents, having machines do those things. So probably the famous things are like machines winning the games of chess and beating humans and all those kind of things, and self-driving cars. And those are the more hype ones, right? But then there are other smaller things that people take for granted, and we don't consider them as AI. But just imagine right now we are in Teams, and then when someone is typing a question, you get the smart reply suggestion, hey, you should reply this to them, right? So that's the computer that is able to understand what you are trying to say. So that is AI as well. Or even when you're on social media and Facebook knows what you want to see next, right? Or what to recommend, or Instagram, your feed is personalized to you, what content is surfaced to you. So all of those things, they are also powered by AI. And the cool thing is that today almost every product is getting infused with it. So yeah, well, I think it's so many applications. So what are, actually a question for you guys, can you come up with some from your daily life, one application each? What do you think? Where is AI right now in your life? What's on top of your mind? What do you guys think? What's on top of your mind, Dawood, like when you think AI from your daily life?
Yeah, I think when I think about AI from my daily life, I would basically point out to Teams, because I end up attending a lot of calls every day within the week on Teams, right? And observing how exactly, I'm supposed to allow, AI to be able to, whatever I'm saying right now, speech to text is happening right in front of my screen. If someone is saying something and I can't hear it, I just turn on the feature which says that, okay, allow live captions in Teams, and I'm able to hear from, what exactly the person is trying to say. And that is a good example of how I personally use, artificial intelligence, right? A year ago, I would say that the common way I use AI is that I would basically take my phone and always, use thumbprint. I use facial recognition, but I guess now I use the short code than those two. Maybe that was gone with the days when it was very new.
Yeah, so the reason I'm bringing up the use cases from daily life is when people think AI, sometimes they think like they have this image from movies and stuff. They start thinking of robots and self-driving cars. So it's just that it's kind of almost everywhere. It's part of our daily life. So you don't need to think like really huge, but also in these applications, for example, in Teams, some of us, for example, I have seen the background, right? Teams allows you to change, but people are not able to tell that that's not your real background, right? And right now, I guess people here have some non-real backgrounds as well, but it's really cool, right? That it's able to take you and put it there and automatically understand where the person is. And also there is, for example, now noise suppression as well, right? So that people can be doing stuff around, but Teams is able to filter that out. So all of these are, I guess, pretty cool applications.
Exactly. So I'm just going to take some question around this particular few, things that Samia said from our panelist here. Who goes first? How do you, Samia's, good question, among the good question that she asked was, how do you use AI on your daily basis? What's your thoughts? Any of you goes?
Okay, I can go first. I use AI every day on my cell phone because I'm always trying to have a conversation with Siri. Always, hi Siri, how are you? Every day when I wake up, it's hi Siri, how are you? So I think it's fantastic. I love it.
Oh,
I hope you're not abusing Siri though.
I'm trying not.
And does Siri have
you guys
moods? Does Siri have moods? Does it reply? Like, is it moody?
Sometimes she replies things that I don't like, but it's fine. I still try to connect with her.
Amazing. Victoria, how do you use AI on your daily basis?
Probably more Google Assistant, because we have a couple Chromecasts in my house because my brothers love them, so I brought one for them, and I connected them all to the Google Mini. So all the time, me and them are like, "Hey Google, turn on the Chromecast. Hey Google, turn on the TV." So that's what I most use.
Amazing. So just in the chat, you can also tell us how exactly you use AI. We'll be taking the questions. Myself, Usman, Salman, we are in the chat as well, so we'll be taking all those stuff, and we will be able to access to get your voice out here as well. So Nandini, do you have anything to say as long as that is being asked?
To my point of view, we have AI everywhere, literally. Like we open our YouTube and we just find suggestions that we actually watched like yesterday. We saw a song and then we have more suggestions of the same singer, and then comes Google Assistant, and then comes everything is some way or the other tracked by our systems and our phones. So yeah, it's suggesting and training itself. So AI is really everywhere we have.
Amazing.
Read some stuff out from the chat.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have Sundar who says Bigsby, and then Subin who says YouTube relevant suggestions. Mark says uses YouTube, uses Cortana. Oh, actually, that's a nice point to mention Cortana. The meeting which I was scheduling for Monday, which Victoria, the one that I added you to, that was used by using the Cortana assistant. So you literally just add Cortana help in the the meeting invite, and then like it schedules it based on your calendar, and it will you just email Cortana back itself. So that's a nice way. It's in preview right now, so you can all go and try it as well.
Amazing. Cool. Yeah. So but Salman, you personally, how do you use AI on your day-to-day activities? I know you're going to mention my points, but I'll still let you mention your points.
I mean, yeah, so that Cortana was an example of that scheduling meeting using Cortana. Just like recommendations for like what I want to watch, or it's a mixed bag, but certain things we don't realize has AI is actually AI. is what I think. It's a big buzzword, but it's actually everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're just joining us from the chat, we are talking about AI. If you're confused about the word AI, it's just, abbreviation of artificial and intelligence. Okay, so what Samia explained earlier was that if you think about AI, then we are thinking about how, machines are able to mimic how we human beings, right? How we human beings behave. If we're able to reason, we want machines to be able to do that as well, right? If we write a letter to someone and the person is able to, even when a person is cannot talk, right, but the person is able to read, the person will be able to get your sentiments, right? And all those stuff are some of the things that Samia mentioned earlier on, as long as AI is concerned. So this first 10 minutes is just a hot session. We just want to throw questions at Samia, and then we have some specific questions from all the panelists here to ask. And feel free to always come in and ask your questions. All of you, just feel free, feel very free to access a question. So Samia, I think one thing I would just come in to ask is, Usman, anything from your end as well before I go ahead? Osman? Okay. All right. I guess AI hasn't muted Osman yet, so. Okay. So, okay. So whilst Usman is trying to unmute himself, I personally want to just ask Samia, what do you think about the negative? What are some of the, I think what we all talked about was the positive aspect of, AI. But we've heard it. We've heard that AI is going to take over the world from people that are well known, are very popular. Before, I will not mention name right now, but obviously I'm going to be mentioning some few names. So the negative aspect of AI, what would you say about it? What is the negative aspect that we should all be afraid of as long as AI is concerned?
Well, the first thing that okay, let's go a bit back. First, what I would like to say is that everything has a positive and a negative aspect, right? For example, you can use a knife to cut fruits, cut your vegetables, use it to so many different things, and you can use it to harm people as well, right? Similarly, you can use fire to do tons of things, and then you can use it in a negative way as well. So it's the same thing with AI as well. You can do all the amazing things, but with the wrong intentions can make it to be used for the wrong things as well, right? To do harm to other people. So it's just like with everything else. It's not like this is special. Why there is always, because now the fear is because we do not understand it. So for the common person, it's like this big thing, like where it's like, what will it do? There is this perception from movies and stuff. And of course, there are some fears where the jobs that will be automated, right? So people who are doing manual jobs, or the ones that will be automated, will be taken by AI. So we need to make our workforce, right? The workforce for the future has to be trained towards other kind of skills, right? So for example, in the future, it's not going to be the information retrieval skills that are going to be important, but other kind of skills like critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence, and human understanding. Those are the skills that are going to become more important, because that's where AI has a gap. So it's more about working with AI rather than going against it. It's not a match, right? It's not AI versus human, it's AI with humans. And that's the negative, like what's seen as negative, it's the job losses. So of course, companies are investing in it. So Microsoft has this whole, they have dedicated people who do this research into AI, how the future of work should evolve, and there are discussions of dedicated researchers just on this. So how do you upgrade your workforce? For example, people should be taught other kind of technical skills, and that's why it's really important for it. It's more also at the government level and in general to have that understanding where we are headed. And also one more thing here is that the fear is still AI, especially if you see with COVID and all of this, this has given us kind of a reset to where we are. And it's showing us that, hey, it's still not where we thought it is. There are still a lot of gaps. So that's where we see that it's because AI as of now, it doesn't have any consciousness, right? It's just some fancy maths. So that consciousness, that human element, that's missing. It's mimicking human behavior and learning from it, but still that human element is missing. And that's where people are going to be still important factors in the equation. Of course, in the future, we won't need the automated. It's like when we move from the agriculture revolution to the industrial, right? So some jobs were taken away because people were doing all the manual things and then they were scared, hey, the machines are coming, the industrial revolution took away many jobs. But on the other hand, it created other kind of jobs, right? So it's the same way that it will create, but it will be other kinds of jobs. So that's why, and maybe it's still not the standard, but people need to be prepared for it. So we need to make sure that we are training our workforce and we are, taking care of the people who would be losing jobs in that.
Yeah.
So that's
I think
concern.
Yeah, what's really nice about the fact that now we have internet connections, right? I saw SpaceX has actually started a project that is supposed to make internet way cheaper, so that everyone across the globe can be able to purchase or have access to the internet. Because if AI is going to take over some jobs, right, then it means we need to be creative, like you are saying. We need to be moving into some aspect with our intelligence to be able to leverage on the opportunities that AI is bringing, which means that we need more internet access. And I'm really excited about the project that SpaceX is carrying out, as long as internet is concerned. But one thing that we all watched it. I mean, the crew who went to space, currently in space in the space station, it was something all over the world. We all really admired and cherished how things were happening. And one statement that I took away from there was that they made mention that with all the the machines which were built, with everything, all the months and years that has been put in together to test out the rocket for it to fly out to the space, without human, it is absolutely nothing, because at the end we needed humans to sit in there and then go try it out, right? So I think this is the advantage to us humans. Whatever that we are creating is actually going to benefit us. But one question that arises is that, okay, so if it's left to us, because if you take an example of a knife, right? I usually tell people, I mean, that was years ago when I used to preach more about righteousness. I used to tell people that when you give a knife to the pastor or to the religious, leader, or, the good person, the person would use the knife. Perhaps maybe the wife might be at the workplace, and then he would quickly come home, get to the kitchen, and slice tomatoes with a knife, right? And prepare some nice dish, maybe shawarma or pizza or something, right? But if you give the knife to the bad guy is going to use the knife to go and cause harm, right? Either hurt someone to be able to take something from the person, rob someone with the knife. So that brings a question where we are kind of afraid. So does it mean that we need some kind of regulation? We need some topmost bodies to come together to be able to shape things, how to put governance on AI, on how people are supposed to use it? Because when the bad guys get it, then it means we are doomed.
So those are some of the open questions, but the more nuanced thing here is that, for example, where the usage of data and AI is going to take us, the way humans are going to change. For example, just think of it, right? People, when they're using Google Maps, they've seen that people who literally followed the instruction and ended up with their car bumping outside doing an accident because Google said so, that there is a road ahead, while they ended up in a lake or somewhere. So it's like we are giving away our decision making power to all these AI powered apps and tools, right? So that's where AI is going to be aiding us, or let's say telling us how to make decisions. So that blurry boundary, that's where it's more of like where humans are headed, and how we will be kind of, let's say, our decisions will be so much influenced by a machine that, okay, that boundary of human versus machine will be blurry. So that's the more interesting thing, and it's kind of difficult to regulate. That's where the power of data comes, and all these privacy talks as well. So for example, you guys know of Facebook's Cambridge Analytica, right? They were able to use the data to manipulate elections, right? And that's where they use the power of data and AI to deviate people into making certain kind of decisions. Yeah, so that's where it's more risky. And there have been, you are mentioning regulations after all this data issue. For example, in Europe, GDPR is a big thing. It's huge, right? If you use the data the wrong way, you are charged like with billions. And similarly in the US and other countries, other regulations are coming as well. And yeah, for example, here Musk, you seem to be a fan, has been investing in a lot of these efforts as well, where there are researchers trying to think how we should move ahead and make sure that, we are trying to have regulations
around it. Amazing discussions. If you just joined us, we have Samia, and Samia is from Microsoft, and she is well, vested in AI, and she is sharing her, her views on, AI ethics and all with us right in here. So do not go anywhere, just stay here, and then make sure that you tweet about it. Invite your friends to, to be able to, benefit from this chat. I remember in 2018, or was it 2019, I made a post on a chatbot, right, that I had, I was going to give a talk on it, and then I wrote an article, and when the person saw, the chat, instead of, putting a chatbot there, I intentionally put a robot there, right, because people often confuse chatbots with, robots, okay, and when a lady saw, the robot, the lady just, behaved, she was just frightened, and she said, "I'm afraid of this thing." I was like, wow. So this is, to the level where we've not explained things enough to people, and then they think they are not using AI, but on their phones and everywhere they go, AI is just in their pockets nowadays, right? So coming in from all the panelists here, drop your questions to Samia. That was just, an intro into this session. We're going to be having fun questions here. We talk about some, careers and code that you can take away from AI. So I just leave it to the panelists to drop their questions. Any of you could start. Who goes first? Awesome. Yeah.
So, Ms. Khalid, how's the atmosphere for women in the tech ecosystem, and particularly at Microsoft?
So if I may repeat the question, she asked, how's the atmosphere for women in tech and at Microsoft, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, actually on this one, before we go, I have a test for you guys. You weren't ready for this, right? But who's gonna tell me the core cultural values of Microsoft? All the MVPs, come on, like who knows the 5 core values? Quick. I know we are already half an hour passing, so I'll make it quick. Whatever your response is, who goes first? Who knows this? Even in the chat, in the comments, guys, on YouTube, anyone who wins it, 5 core values. Don't cheat.
Okay.
Don't cheat.
So we are going with one. We are going with one right now. Is someone going to say it, or on YouTube we're going to pick what people are saying over there? Okay. So the core values at Microsoft is the question asked by Samia. So does anyone have, Oh, I see. Did someone just say innovation? Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think since we are already half an hour in, I'll keep this short and give it myself. So I'll quote Satya and let's see if you can figure out the 5 values. So in talking about culture, he says, we will only achieve our mission, that's to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more, if we live our culture. We start with becoming learners in all things, having a growth mindset. Then we apply that mindset to learning about our customers, being diverse and inclusive, working together as one, and ultimately making a difference in the world. So growth mindset, customer obsession, diversity and inclusion, one Microsoft, and making a difference. So now, why did I bring this up? It's because, as you guys can see, diversity and inclusion is one of our core values. And Microsoft, to be honest, besides all the fluff talk, it's one of the best places for women. Personally, like my experience so far has been such a great place to work. In terms of, as you can see, even when it's part of diversity and inclusion, it's part of the culture, there's so much encouragement and initiatives to empower women and bring them to the table. But also in general, I feel like it's during these days, in general in the tech industry, there is that understanding that, yeah, we need more women at the table. There is that more awareness now. So it's really a great time for women to come in and take their seat at the table. And why is this? So why does it matter? Really, why are tech companies understanding that it's important to have women in these diverse perspectives? Because when you're developing global product, that diverse perspective allows you to understand, to question your assumptions, to make better products. Because when you are looking, we have a certain view of looking at things, and different people have different perspectives. So people who are diverse, they bring in a different perspective, and that allows you to improve our product, especially if you're making something that is going to be used globally by a diverse audience when your customers are global. So unless I know how things, for example, work in South Africa and I plan to launch a product there, so if I don't have that perspective, that would mean that I'm not really able to reach my customers, right? Understand what they really want. And similarly, the products are made for women as well, right? So it's important to have that diverse understanding to make better products as well. And also because just we have different way of thinking, right? So right now, of the same thing, let's say if we pose a question, and I kept assuming a certain thing, if all the people in the room are thinking the same way, I won't be able to make any improvement. So and also the other thing, since we are on the topic of AI, it's really vital to have women and this diversity, is because also gender bias and this racism, this bias in AI algorithms is real. For example, there was a Google Translator, all these translator, these apps, if they took, for example, if you search for professor, CEO, they would show you male figures, or doctor, it would be a male. But if you search a nurse, it's always a woman. And when did it translated sentences from a gender neutral language to one where there was gender, it would always translate doctor, professor to he or a male, while a nurse to a woman. Why? Because it's biased data. Similarly, initially when all these facial recognition apps were there, their gender biases or the racial biases can have huge impact if there is no diversity. For example, initially even the Black women were being categorized as male because there wasn't enough data. So even someone as famous as Oprah was being said, hey, the AI was saying that's a male, right? So those are the things that, based on where we are headed, it's really important to have this, and especially with all the conversations going on around the world during these days with the Black Lives Movement, there's a rising awareness. So on that, we really need to understand that one of the ways to contribute towards that movement is also to understand that AI will have that bias, racial bias. So we need to make sure that that's addressed. For example, if facial recognition is used by police to understand, and that is actually being done in some of the countries, to assess the degree of how they ask the machine, what's the percentage you think this person is likely to be a criminal or not. Then if it's biased AI because it was trained on historical data where a certain set of gender was said to be biased, that's a machine, right? It's just doing what it was taught based on data. So that where bias will come into play. Or another is when, for example, banks and insurance companies are giving loans, they're likely to think that if it's diversity or minority group, don't give them, be biased against them. So it's really important to have that. And that's why tech companies are understanding this. So guys, it's not just moral values, it's also both business as well. So it's good for business understanding in the first place to have the diverse perspective, but also in terms of where we are headed in the future, it's really important. And I think it's a great time because there's this rising awareness, understanding of why it's important. So yes, please make sure to take your seat at the table. And yeah, I'm hopeful that we are headed in the right direction as well.
Amazing. Yeah, so it's been an interesting discussion going on right now. We have Samia from Microsoft, and she's well vested in AI, been working in the industry for a while now, and she's given us more opinions on AI and generally humans, right? And that is why you saw the topic AI and human, because we want the human aspect very well. And she just talked about some of the roles, at available at Microsoft and how, there is an inclusion for women at, Microsoft. So let's take the next question. Who goes? Nandini or Zubaida? And you can see, even MSPInspire, we are being more inclusive right now, right? I mean, in terms of gender. We have like 60 against 40 right now on the call.
That's great, right? Because different people, the questions you might ask are different than what Zubaida or Nandini and Victoria would come up with. So it's important to have those diverse perspectives, right? So you can tackle the same subject from different angles and you don't miss out on anything. So that's why it's really needed.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm Nandini, yeah.
What about, you started your career as security analysis, in security analysis, and now you're a senior software engineer. So how has your journey been so far? It's been diverse, of course, but then how did you do AI?
Yeah, so let me elaborate on that a bit. So it wasn't starting as security analyst. That was an internship that I did during university life. So that wasn't really like a real job. But yeah, in general, I have had the experience of working both as engineer, as core engineering, but also in the applied science part. And so far, it's been really interesting. So for me, the driving forces are that I'm learning, so continuous learning. I'm learning new things, challenging myself, putting myself out of my comfort zone. So, and that has led me to go from one to another and to try out these different arenas. And it's been great actually, because my master's was also mixed of both pure distributed systems and then a thesis that was AI related. So I just like to challenge myself with different things. And it's been great to work with people who are really smart and very great in general as human beings to work with as well. So throughout, from working at Microsoft in Norway to now working at Microsoft in Seattle, it's been really a wonderful experience. I've learned a lot and grown in the meanwhile as well.
That's great. Thanks for answering the question.
And maybe I think I can elaborate for people who are confused what the heck is an applied scientist or an AI engineer or a software engineer. I can elaborate on that as well, since I think it would be beneficial for.
Yeah, so let me just before you go ahead, Samia, let me just read out the complete bio of Samia right here. Okay, so Samia is a senior AI scientist and engineer at Microsoft. She's working with large-scale distributed systems to create Microsoft's next wave of intelligent experience in Office 365 and Outlook. So these are product that we have been using, you and I have been using always, right? She's also experienced in AI-powered vehicle maintenance, where she holds a patent for the master's thesis work. Samia is also an impact maker leading various diversity and inclusion efforts, both inside and outside Microsoft. She is the current lead at PWIC, Pakistan Women in Computing, Seattle, and MSP, Microsoft Student Partners, Islamabad, and an active contributor to Microsoft LEAP program. She asked me just last week whether I knew about the LEAP program or not. So I'm sure she's going to be talking about something of such as time we are going ahead. And also, in addition, she also serves as an AI advisor for startups. So I guess we're just having the perfect speaker here. So if you didn't know more about Samia, I just read the complete bio. Can we go ahead with any question coming in right now that you've heard all about Samia? Please put your questions in the chat. Give her every question. You can see she knows what she's talking about right here. So just give us the questions. So who next to go with the next question?
Me.
Okay. Well, okay. Then we'll take the elaborating on the different roles later.
Yes. Yeah, I completely, forgot about, you wanting to elaborate on that. But yeah, just do as the Hannah, since your bio has been read. I'm sure some people are wondering what all those stuff means, right? So just do as the Hannah and do it.
Yeah, especially because I wanted to clarify, since a lot of you are students and many students have been reaching out to me as well, trying to understand when you're thinking about your next career path, there's all this confusion. Where should I apply? Where should I go? What do these different roles mean? So that's why I think it's important to talk about that a bit. So sorry if I'm deviating from what you guys had decided.
Not at all. I think one good thing about this session is that we want you to be just natural, be yourself. I was telling all the panelists last time that we are not going to follow any order of the questions, but we essentially had to let you know this is what we want, right? But just do it your way. Okay.
Yeah, so basically you have different roles. You might have heard when you look at the AI family of jobs, right? You might have heard if you start, like, let's say from the least requiring AI, data analyst, data scientist, and there's applied scientist, then there's ML AI engineers, and then there are the researchers, right? So basically, if you take the data analyst, that is the person that doesn't really require AI. So just to clarify, so they are the people who would be making your dashboards, using the data, creating the visualization. That's what help businesses to make sense of the data. They might require programming, or they might not require programming as well. So that's using Excel or Tableau, or depending on the size of the data, or some SQL. So that's trying to make sense of the data, create using Power BI, and help businesses like, hey, this is what's looking like, create all those nice charts and so on, and help the decision makers based on the business understanding. Now you get the second level where it's the data scientist. Data scientist is like one step above the data analyst, as in they help businesses make understanding of the data, but they can they do sometimes make use of some machine learning techniques as well. They may or they might not. And they use, for example, SQL, and if the amount of data is used, and for example, Spark and so on as well. So it's the next level, it's the data analyst, but using Python and other programming skills as well to go deeper into the data and understand historical patterns. So while the data analyst is looking at how things are now, while the data scientist will look at, hey, this is how many things we sold in the past, or how things looking like. So help decisions based on patterns in the data and historical data as well.
Oh, so that means a data scientist actually need a programming knowledge.
Yeah. So usually it's Python these days. That's the go-to tool. Before there was R as well, but mostly it's like, yeah, Python. And then there are other roles where, for example, you have an applied scientist, an ML engineer, and researchers. So let's look into that. So the researchers are the ones that are like really at the cutting edge, coming up with the newest models from computer vision, natural language processing to whatnot, depending on their domain. They come up with the new innovation, right? Because it's a rapidly evolving field. We have so they have even contests where, like, you know, they come with their model and then who is the best in the ranking, and there are those leaderboards, and so they do innovation and try to come up with new models based on research work. So it's a lot of papers and research, and they're usually not interested in products. So that's more like, I just want to create the best computer vision model, a model that's able to understand, distinguish, do facial recognition better, or understand text better, right? That's a researcher. So what the researcher has produced, let's say they come up with a natural language processing model, that what if we want to use that in an actual product, right? That's where an applied scientist comes in. As an applied scientist, the role is to take those models and infuse them into actual products. So the applied scientists are more the product people, that where you take the research work and infuse it so that it can come in front of customers and benefit in the real world. And now the applied scientist is the person that takes those models and infuses it. But then if you look at the whole product, there's a lot more than just AI happening, right? And that's the myth, that people think that AI is just the modeling part. But getting the data, the feedback, the whole infrastructure around it, the monitoring, logging, there's a lot of work going on around that. When someone is giving feedback or typing something, is it correctly ending up in the logs? Is it being logged in the first place? So that's where the engineer comes into play. They help to make sure that the whole pipeline, the end-to-end story, is in place. So I hope this clarifies a bit the different roles and what we are talking about and how is it different. And of course, since this is really new field, in some places, especially in the startups, the roles are not really well defined. Like you end up doing everything, right? So really, depending on the company, take it with a grain of salt. Read the job description, and especially if you see that a team has just one person doing everything, then yeah, they would be expecting more. But if they have the well-defined roles, especially that's the case for big companies, they do have it, then this is what they're talking about when they say engineer versus more a scientist. As an engineer, you deploy that model in let's say in your phone, make sure it's in front of the user versus developing it. So I think we can move on with the panelists.
Yeah, it's absolutely great having you here, talking about, you know, the difference between, you know, an applied scientist and talking about who data analytics, the various roles available, you know, for people to, you know, jump on this, you know, interesting field. It's really amazing. We absolutely love that part, and that is the human part of the AI and human. All right, so moving on, we will come back to that. Samia's profile alone can, you know, take this whole session, because trust me, there are some interesting things I found just within her bio, and I'm coming up with that, the gym aspect of it, the exercising. I mean, every programmer needs to exercise. We'll come back to that. So I think Zubaida had a question.
Yes. So if you could go back in time to the moment you start your career, which advice would you give to the younger you?
Okay, interesting. What advice would I give to my younger me? Okay, I would need to tell myself, like, hey girl, believe in yourself. It's important. You'll be doing fine. So having that awareness, like, you know, to start with the confidence that it's okay. And then also networking is really, really important. So that's something that in the beginning I hadn't really considered seriously. So I would say to myself when I was beginning that, you know, really do it and go, like, try to network, because it helps you both in terms of just creating connections. Even when you're not looking for a job, it doesn't mean that, please don't start networking when you are looking for something or someone, when you want that job. Do it when you don't need it as well, just to build your network, and the day you need it, it will come in handy. So lay the ground beforehand.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're muted.
And actually, since on that topic, if I can elaborate, since Dawood is on mute, I'll take advantage of that to keep going on. So why I'm telling myself the first advice that I said, right? I would like to elaborate why am I saying so, since we have quite a few girls in the room, especially. So I would like to maybe tell a little story. You're hearing as if I have done this, I've done that, and this huge perfect person, can see this is too far-fetched. That's why I want to, let's say, talk about the elephant in the room. If we go back in time a few years ago, when I was in your shoes on the other side, right, when I was a student myself. So it's the hard conversations. These days you have these hard conversations, so let's go for it. So I was excelling at my exams. So if you had seen I was graduated with honors. That means the highest GPA, and then I was doing everything really well, but still I didn't have the courage or the confidence to really apply during my, when I was studying for internships at the big tech companies, or to go for it. You know why? Because I had this syndrome called I'm not good enough syndrome. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I had what it takes, because I thought, because I looked around, no matter if I was doing so great in exams and everything, I thought, but because all those guys, they had been programming since they were kids, exposed to programming, then it was meant for them, while I had just had been able to learn it, but I was new to it. So it's I don't have what it takes. So no, this is not for me. I'm not even going to go for it. I won't try.
So just before you go ahead, down the line, your career, do you regret of not starting programming early right now?
I'll come back to that.
Cool.
To that.
Awesome.
So on that, but then I realized, and then if you said when I applied actually at Microsoft during my last year of my master's, so that's how much I needed to wait until I mustered really the courage to go for it and to gain that confidence, because I was maybe this is gonna end, right? The time is passing, at the end of the day, what if I do it, right? I will fail, or otherwise, if I will never do it, I will end up with a regret that one day, look at other people who have achieved what I was just looking at, while I didn't have the courage to go for it, and I will look back that maybe if I had tried, I could have achieved that too, but I was too afraid, and I didn't want to live with that regret. And then I went ahead and applied, and you see, I am here today. And here actually, there has been research as well that shows, especially women underestimate themselves, and they don't apply for jobs until they made 100% of the qualifications. So if you see something listed, if you see one thing you don't know, you'll be oh, okay, oh my God, I can't apply for this one. I don't know it. I'm not gonna even try. While usually it's guys that if you get 3 out of 5, they'll be, hey bro, I got that one. I will get that one. That's for me. So that's a general. Of course, men do doubt themselves as well. I'm not negating that, but I'm saying in general, it's more of a women-related syndrome. So please, if that's holding you back, don't let it hold back, because what will happen in the worst case, you will not get accepted. But in the meanwhile, while doing all those preparations, you will learn a lot on that path as well, and that will help you. Those rejections, they will help you in becoming a better person. So it doesn't matter if you apply and you fail, that failure will be your stepping stone. But if you don't even try to fail and play it too safe, some years from now, when you look at your friend who maybe wasn't even as smart as you, let's say smart, that's our subjective term, like maybe not the right term to use, but still the point is your other friends that were in class, whoever had the self-confidence or the courage to apply for it, they went for it, and they will be there. You'll be looking back with regret and the what if feeling. So don't be in that place. At the worst, you'll fail at that, but then what? You would have learned something, made new connections, learned new things while prepping for that interview. So please don't let that fear hold you back, and don't let that I'm not good enough come into play. It's just your brain playing tricks on you. It's not real. It's just fluff in your head going on. So to have control over that mental chatter is really important. Actually, before Dawood, you were asking me about where we are headed in terms of AI as well. So for humans, as we go ahead, having control over our minds, being able to understand those emotions and having that emotional regulation and being more in control of that mental chatter is going to be so relevant. Because let's say if AI is doing most of the work, you're sitting at home for 3-4 hours doing nothing, and then the whole mental chatter that comes and that plays tricks on you, that's going to be devastating. So that's why you might know that mindfulness, awareness, to all those things, there's a lot of rising awareness about those things as well, because that's not just hype. Those things really help. So please know when it's coming. And I'm not saying that have that fake self-confidence, like you have that go around with that bloated confidence that, yeah, I'll nail, I don't need to do anything. It's just that when you know where you want to go, you understand what it is, what's the price that you need to pay for getting where you want. So you understand that, okay, whether it's prepping for doing those interview preps or whatever it is, you know the price. You need to say no to parties for a while, or to parties now. It's okay, so I'm going out or whatever, meeting friends and sit down and do your work. So once you know the price and you are willing to pay that, after that, topping it up with self-confidence or the confidence, not letting that I'm not good enough spoil it all, is really important. So please don't let that hold you back.
Amazing. Awesome. So that's a great advice on how you can go above whom you think you are. It's about just having confidence, just like Samia is mentioning, and then determine the price that it takes to become who you are. Including if you have to stop going out and watching movies and doing all the fun things. I mean, there are a lot of ways to have fun. Maybe you will learn to have fun this way. So just pay the price for it.
For a while, right? That's until you, of course, fun is also an important element of life. I'm not saying take it out, but while you're working on something for that while, okay, you understand that and you prioritize things accordingly.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that point.
My whole point of making this, if I am here today, all of you are sitting there, if you're a student right now, you can be at my place as well. So it's nothing no need to put people on pedestal. Whoever has achieved anything, you can learn from their success. Success leaves cues. Just if you follow those patterns, you can be there if that's what you really want, right? So first is understanding what you really want, that awareness. And then if you really want it, you can get it. It's not impossible.
Amazing. So if you really want it, you can get it. I think it's actually, there is a song that has that. It was more about that. If you can get it if you really want it, right? Yeah. So any question from any of you? But for those of you in the chat, if you've just forgotten where exactly you are now, you're on MSPInspire.com and you're listening to Samia. A huge amount of conversations going on right now. We have Nandini. We have Nandini joining us from India. We have Zubaida from Mozambique. We have Victoria from Brazil. We have Salman from the UK. And then we have Usman from Pakistan. Myself from Ghana. Tell us where you are joining us from. If you just join us, just say hi to us in the chat. We are, I think, just some few minutes away to closing. So we'll just keep the session wrapping up. Okay, so who should I take question from next? Nandini, Victoria, Usman, did you guys get any questions? Salman, do you have a question out there? Cool.
Yeah. So I would like to ask, hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
So yeah, I would like to ask you, like, you have been working so hard, you have been struggling through things as well, you just told. So, so how did you pass through that, and how were you so consistent about working that way? And also, there might be something like the most interesting thing that you do in your day, and that gives you like a hobby or something that keeps you going.
Yeah. So first, as I said, right, once you really decide what you want, right, and then you understand what's the price you need to pay if you really want it, then you go for it, right? Whether then you decide, you have to understand what's the path. If I want to achieve something, is it whatever you're trying to do, does it mean I have to write let's say 1,000 words a day or program every day, or what do you need to do, right? So it's more about understanding what you really want and why you want it. Having that why is really important. Once you're able to understand why you want something and why is it important to you, then you create your path according, you understand what it takes, and then of course you have to stick to it. And there are lots of, I'm a productivity freak as well, so a lot of but I guess that would be another session on itself to talk about how I staying disciplined and all the productivity tips and the kind of things I do. For example, focused work hours is really important when you shut down all the noises and you stay focused on doing the task that you are doing at that moment. So having that deep work and also meditation and those things really help. And since we are almost at the closing, you asked for a hobby or something. Yeah, I'm a fitness freak as well. I love adventures, but right now that's whenever possible. And right now with all of us shut at home, that's not being possible. But I really try to keep exercise as my part of daily routine, because it has mental, physical, emotional benefits. When you exercise, that really helps you achieve better in all the other areas, whether it's improving your mood, to improve, give you the boost to work better. And it's I mean, if you look at it, all the successful people, you take any of the CEOs who have their agendas fully booked, no time, but they make time for exercise, right? Why is that? Because it does have huge benefits. So guys, if you haven't been exercising, I would highly recommend you to start doing it.
Awesome. So just cutting in a bit, we are currently discussing about AI or human. I've seen most of you said you are joining in from India, Ganesh from Mumbai, and a lot of you out there. I think one question that someone had within the chat, I captured it, was that as a computer scientist, no, I think that is not it. I think there was a question here which was asking that, yes, do you code 8 hours per day? I've had many Microsoft employees do that. Do you code 8 hours per day?
No, like, okay, that's the 8 hours per day. No, I attend a lot of meetings. A lot of work is like, so when you work, it's not that, okay, it's not like you go there and you sit and you start coding and you end. It doesn't work like that. You have to work with a lot of people, especially now that as you at the senior level, like you have to, but interact a lot with other people, understand. But even if it's not senior, you can't think that you would code for 8 hours, because when you're developing products at Microsoft scale, at startups, you might end up coding 8 hours because you are not interacting with many people. There are a lot of dependencies. So you have to leverage work done by other teams. You need to communicate. So what computer scientists and engineers sometimes forget is that communication is really, really important. So whether it's verbal or written, you need to be able to communicate with teams who are developing. So it's like, you see, Microsoft has it's a huge scale. So it's not like one team who does the whole thing, whole features. Is many, many teams coming together to create one small thing. And to do that, you need to talk to them. So there are tons of meetings and syncs to make sure people are on the same page. Yeah, and all of that. So it doesn't mean 8 hours straight coding, no.
Coding.
It's
Yeah.
not
So,
that
yeah.
Microsoft, at least, doesn't happen. Lots of
Yeah.
meetings.
Actually, I think let me calculate my hours. I think I coded over 10 hours yesterday. We had a product to go live. We had a product to go live. So when I woke up from bed, all my mind was like, okay, today we are going live, right? So I sat down from morning, that was before 8 a.m. And I think I slept somewhere around 11:30. No, I actually closed off. I signed off from the product around 11:30 p.m., which is roughly, my calculation might not be right, but I think that should be leading me to almost 12 hours, right? Or somewhere 9 hours. So it does happen. For me, I think maybe because I am working in a startup, so you end up working overtime or some, I don't know. Yeah, but it does happen. So you guys be prepared for it. Not all of us are going to land in
that's what I
Microsoft.
said, and it happens from time to time. It depends on the context. If there is a launch or something, I'm talking about the general scenario, not like once in a while scenario where there's something broke down and hell broke loose, as that you need to fix something. I'm talking about the day-to-day life. And also when you're talking about 9 to 12, or it comes back to my point of deep focus, are you being really productive? So rather than, if one does those 10 hours versus you sit down for, let's say, even straight 90 minutes, no distraction, all social media off, no notifications, no nothing, you sit and just do that thing, those 90 minutes versus 5 hours of, hey, let me browse on internet, let me just check this message and I'll get back to it. Those are not comparable in terms of hours. So if you really want to optimize rather than focusing on length, how many hours, I would highly recommend you to start focusing on how many of those were actually deep focused hours of work. How much time are you spending during the day doing deep work? And actually you will end up noticing is, if you do it this way, you will end up doing more in less time. You will have more time to go do other things, because doing other things is also important for us, for creativity and so on, to take that break and then come back. So focus on doing that in a work, on deep work, rather than long stretches. But just hope you'll find a break today.
Yeah, exactly. Extremely yes. So that is it. Most students out there, you're going to end up at Microsoft. You're going to end up in a startup. You're going to have to end up in places that you didn't even think you would go, and the places could be above your imagination or below your imagination. But life has to move on. You need to work and you need to be paid. So as much as you are being paid, and then it sounds good to you, I mean, that's awesome. So today's session was AI and human. We started in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We talked so much about AI. Towards the middle part, we talked more about the human aspect, what it takes to be a data scientist, data analytics and all that. So we discussed a lot about that aspect, and even gender inclusion was discussed right here. And quite apart from that, how long you work and all those stuff. And this is amazing discussion so far. We are just about, I think we have, okay, I'll just give it 10 minutes more for us to close this session. Okay, so all of you have like 2 minutes. Just come in with any question that you have. Salman and Usman, do you have any question there?
Sure, I have a question, and it's what's your biggest idea which AI is going to bring for the future?
The biggest idea, it's what we started talking about, the fusion between the human and AI, the boundary becoming blurry, where we will not even realize, but we are giving away our decision-making power gradually. Right now, it's following Google Maps to understanding, choosing partners, to deciding our career paths, to deciding our future. So all those decisions, they will be more automated, and we will not even realize it. Just the way today we use you just follow the instructions because Google says so. So imagine if your life partner is chosen by AI, and right now it's happening, right? People who are on apps, right? You are getting recommendations by recommendation systems, and in the same way, your university, what should you become a data scientist, or should you study computer vision, or should you study, let's say, filming, or become an actor or a singer or whatever, right? If it's AI helping you decide that, or all the other decisions where you're going and getting that help, and that's blurring the boundary, I think that's going to be really interesting, besides all the big things like the self-driving cars, and those are the obvious things, but these less obvious things, I think that's going to be a major game changer.
Wow, amazing. Salman, I hope that was answered right.
Thank
Usman,
you,
do
Samia.
you have? Amazing. Usman, do you have any question there? Yeah, Samia, go ahead whilst Usman may come in.
No, okay, go ahead. And just take, whenever it's the last 2 minutes, I just want the last 2 minutes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I'm not really an AI guy per se. I'm more of an IoT and cloud computing guy. But I think Ms Samia has seen that movie Terminator. So do you think that AI will evolve to that kind of AI? Like, are we expecting that kind of AI in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years, like, for example, can you give a concrete example for everyone here? Like, when you think of it, what you have in your mind?
Yeah, I don't watch the Terminator. Can you explain?
Yeah, so it's kind of like that you have robotics being AI applied to robotics, and we are seeing that whole killer robots and AI being implemented to them. So in those Terminator movies,
Yeah.
So could we see that kind of artificial intelligence in robotics in the next 10 years?
So there will come the biggest investment. The army, for example, the US Army has a huge investment in AI, but that's all private. So what they're doing, I'm sure they're investing a lot. All these drones, right? Before people needed to go somewhere, like if you just think of a drone that can go and drop bombs, before people had to go there and even fly planes and get killed on the way. So that's one of the things right there. And then armies, like, they have huge AI investment, but it's more of like, they don't tell what they're doing. But I'm sure the most cutting edge research goes there. So it's like they have like tons of investments. And
Amazing.
But yeah, it's not like, but you shouldn't expect that in 10 years it will be killer robots going like the normal use cases. Those are things that, it's armies and things will be developing. Of course, they are not denying that they won't be working, but it's not the everyday life kind of thing of what we will see future. And hopefully we'll stay away from wars and stuff like that.
Amazing. So
I think now.
what Elon Musk said is that assuming that all the things that we see in movies about AI and all this stuff, the good parts are actually true, right? So let's focus about the good parts of, all the things that we see, coming live, to be true. I mean, that would be an exciting future, right? Yes, I have a question right from the chat, and then Zubaida,
Yeah.
and then Nandini. I'll be taking a question next from the two of you. Then I'll go to Victoria, and I think you would just finalize it to be the end. So the question I get from the chat is saying that, do you feel that AI development would increase due to COVID-19, as people aren't allowed to be the way we used to be previously? Do you feel that AI development will increase due to COVID-19, as people aren't allowed to be the way we used to be previously?
So COVID-19 has been an interesting, like kind of a sad but interesting. It has taken the whole world by surprise, right? Given us this reality check and reevaluate everything from AI as well. We thought we are like so advanced, but COVID-19, it showed that, hey, we are still not, like, we need a lot of development, right? It's not where we were thinking that it has everything figured out. For example, you guys have heard probably all the toilet papers that ran out, right? So since the AI was trained, the recommendation systems that help in the purchasing, like Amazon inventory and stuff, they weren't trained. They hadn't seen this before. They couldn't predict, right, this surge in prices, that humans can go crazy when a crisis comes in. So that took the AI by surprise, those kind of things. And then other than that, we also see now there is a lot of investment in the AI, in the drug discovery, right, the medical side of it. So the medical side and more using AI to discover vaccines and those things, one. And then second is understanding that AI has still a lot of gaps, that when something crazy comes in, it wasn't able to identify that a crisis would do this. This is like a totally unprecedented situation, right? And the third is now you see everyone has moved online, the remote. So all these technical advancement, people, even in Teams, the features that they added, like they were like, we need to have noise suppressions or video blurring, and adding all those features because people are using more and more remote interactivity, so making remote lives better. So it's being, a lot of work is being done now that people would have ignored before, because it's becoming important to have the world connected remotely. So that will make a huge difference as well.
Amazing.
And the fourth is probably we are also understanding the value of human connections, that as people have been isolated, they're still understanding that human element is important, and how do we bring into products, and so how would that come into play as well?
That's actually insightful insight from Samia. And thank you very much, everyone out there, for joining us today. We are just wrapping up with our questions. We see a constant amount of you staying in the chat, and then some going and coming in. We hope you are taking a lot away so far. And see all our sessions at meetup.com/MSPInspire. Now we are scheduling all our sessions over there, so that you could, find out about them before, they surprise you. You'll be like, oh, I missed the session because I didn't know about it. We've had that countless amount of time. We just want to make sure that you are finding all at meetup.com/MSPInspire. And also, just to mention that in the coming weeks, we'll be having the Microsoft University recruitment team who would be joining us to, talk about some opportunities available from Microsoft for you students and then recent graduates to be able to leverage on. So just stay tuned with us. You are right here on MSPInspire.
The university recruitment is coming. You guys know what to do, right? You need to apply.
Exactly. You need to apply. That's the whole thing. So we truly want to, this is how we define inspiration at MSPInspire. For you to inspire someone, you really need to empower the person. That is the inspiration. And we are empowering you by bringing in people like, Samia. And thanks to the MSP Islamabad team for bringing in Samia at the right time when we needed, her enough. And we hope to, be having subsequent discussion with her. So just going to take a question from Zubaida.
Yes. So, Samia, what good practices and skills that you gain over the year you think were crucial to your career success?
Practices and skills. So I think what has helped me the most, and I would say continuous learning, the mindset, that having the growth mindset, really, just not because it's part of Microsoft values, something I really believe in personally, especially now that tech is evolving so rapidly. You cannot possibly know everything. So it's really important to have that mindset where you keep learning. And in that way, when you have this mindset where you know that you will learn something, it's also when you're doubting yourself, you'd go like, okay, it's fine, right? I will learn this new thing. So it's that helps you keep challenging and to keep stepping up. You put yourself out of the comfort zone, because that's where when we grow, right? If we keep doing things within our comfort zone, we don't grow. So my stepping stones have been like, whenever I start feeling more comfortable, that's when I know that I have to step out of my comfort zone and do something totally different. And when it means stepping out, it means I need to keep upping my skills as well, learn new things, and having that mindset that it's fine. It's, as we said before, it's okay to fail. Failure is a teacher. So as long as you're learning, so continuous learning with growth mindset is really important. And the other important thing has been that as computer scientists, engineers, or techies, underestimate the importance of emotional intelligence. That's really important, as again, it's the topic on AI as well. So that human part is important, because AI, it's still far from gaining. It will have IQ, but not EQ part, the emotional part. That is important, and that will help you, whether it's university or career, like your career in your work life, when you interact with your colleagues, when you present yourself in front of your boss. So to understand what the other person, where they are coming from, and not to have those judgments like negative, like, because things happen, right? So that is something I would really advise you to work on your emotional intelligence as well. That comes from being able to regulate your own emotions, so that, let's say, especially as a leader, let's say if you are having anxiety or you're stressed, you can't portray that on your team and make your whole team stressed out, right? You don't, if you're feeling emotional, something happened in your personal life, you don't let that impact your work life. So that's been another thing, especially I think for those of you who are leading and stuff. So I would say that is really important to make sure that you're doing that. And the third thing is, or maybe I should have said it first, it's been always the mindset that focus on providing value, not on looking on what's in for you, but whatever you are doing, whether it's the podcast today, writing a blog post, or submitting a pull request is like the code, right? Doing a feature. How am I providing value? And both to your, if you are being able to provide, you're working with a professor on an assignment or with your manager or boss, if you're able to understand how am I providing value to them, so what are they looking for and how can I serve them, it will, trust me, it will put you on the path of success. Don't try to see what's in for me. For your manager, when you're working, when you're seeing what is that they need, how can you add value to the team, add value to your company, automatically success will come to you. You don't need to chase it, right? So when you, and today, right, like my focus wasn't, hey, how would I look good on the podcast, but it's more like, what are the things that might be useful for you guys? So even in your universities, and when you're doing all these community works with MSPInspire, you guys are doing this phenomenal job of connecting, inspiring, and empowering. So please just focus on thinking how you can provide more value to your fellow students and everyone else.
Amazing. And that being said, actually, when you are coming the next time on MSPInspire, tell your brother, hey, brother, can you join me on MSPInspire, right? Because you don't need to take the inspiration alone. Everyone needs that sort of inspiration, right? To find the light within the person's self, rather than just, listening so much to, inspire talks without, following suit. Right here, what we want to ensure is that what Samia is giving you is an advice on how to start, various careers that you'd want to, how to go above the norm. And these are people who have really made it in the industry.
Actually, on not just listening and doing the thing as well, I have a little homework for all of you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you, but like those guys here, but also all of those who are listening us on YouTube live, is that whether you either comment here or let me know afterwards, feel free to DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, or also comment right now. I want to know, what is the one thing that you have been afraid of doing, not courageous to take that leap of faith, and that you promise me today right now that you are going to follow through and do it? So that one thing that you think, because you think you're afraid you're not good enough to do it. So yeah, please let me know, because
okay,
if you have been waiting, right, as they say, waiting on the edge of the cliff while you watch everyone else fly, like, please take that leap of faith. And I want you to tell me the one thing that you have been afraid of doing, and you will do it. So please comment.
Amazing.
It's
so I was just putting it in the chat. The homework is very important.
Yes.
Okay, so just take it away. Nandini, what's your question? Then Victoria would come in with the last question. I'm truly excited that we had different faces here today on MSPInspire. Nandini, come in with your question.
So it's quite a personal question actually. So I have been trying to write blogs and something. So, but I'm not really confident about it. But I read through your bio that you have been a writer and then you eventually wrote a thesis. And I just went through it. And I was like, it's a blast. It was just so awesome. I could just see that you would have worked so much on your writing skills and how to actually put the actual data into that work. So how did you evolve as a writer or as
So if you see my blog, so I have this blog called towardsml.com. If you, I now that it's about being consistent. The first time you'll do it, it's just saying, it doesn't matter if you think you're not good, just write that. So if now I read my first blog post, I'm like, wow, like what was I thinking? Was it like, oh my God, that's so bad? So please, that's not like, how will you improve, right? If you never write that first piece, you will never improve. So in order to improve, so what you have to do is be consistent. So I consistently wrote. So if you see my blog posts, they were coming consistently. Like it's a whole, like I started from the basics of machine learning and kept building up. And I could see gradually as I kept on doing that consistently over time, I have improved at doing it, at explaining things better. So what I have to tell you is that if you never write that first post, how will you improve your skill? It's about the number of reps that you put in, right? How much you practice doing it. So please, so you're going to write that blog post and do tag me in it. I would love to read it. So
exactly.
Please, that's how. So you just need to be consistent and do the work.
Consistency is very important, very, very important to one's progress on whatever you want to achieve.
Totally.
Yeah. Victoria, come in a question.
So, it's clear looking at your LinkedIn profile that you're an impact maker and a leader. Can you tell us more about how to be a good leader and how a leader can or should bring about impact?
Right, because so I think I touched upon it a little bit earlier in one of my answers as well, but I will again say it starts first. Before you can start leading others, you need to be able to lead yourself as well, right? If let's say I can't handle my own self, control my own emotions in difficult times, how am I going to lead other people, right? Right now, especially why this thought came up, because we are going through difficult times from COVID, people seeing their loved ones dying and other things, and there is so much going on into the protests, and we have seen all the Black Lives movements going on, and yeah, there have been sad, unfortunate situations going on. So it's too much going on. So leaders have this great responsibility that you need to protect your team and not kind of, if you're having a bad day, make it a hell of a day for the rest of the team as well. And then it's about really, when you are in a leadership position, it's it's not a status symbol. Hey, I am the lead here, I am the boss. It's no, you are there to provide value to your team. You're not a superior, rather you are there to serve them, to provide them value. So what is that you can do to make sure that whatever your team is trying to do, how can you serve them to achieve that goal? So have that attitude that you are there to assist your team, to serve them, to provide them value, rather than I'm the boss here, I have this flashy title, so I'm like, I'm whatever, the director, the president, or whatever, the manager, the VP. Like, it's, you're there to serve your people to achieve their goals. And then also that can be done when you have empathy and compassion is really important. So it goes back to the first point, especially that it's difficult time. So how can you help your teams better? If someone, as a leader, if someone is having a bad day, you're able to understand them, act with empathy that, okay, if today they didn't perform to their fullest, but understand that if they had something going on, we understand that it's tough times. Like, again, I refer to the situation nowadays, people are not performing at their best because of what's going on. For example, Microsoft has given a policy that people who have children, since schools were closed and everything is closed, they said, okay, those guys can take extra like paid leave, right? They have the extra weeks because schools are closed, and we understand that you are not able to work because it's a complete lockdown. So as a leader, as I saying, we don't care what's going on in your life. You just finish my code and that's it, right? So that's
Amazing.
not how great teams are made.
It's been one of a wonderful discussion on this particular podcast, episode number 15, meaning we are really progressing. I think, Samia, we would have you here to talk about program manager role and stuff like that. I mean, that would really be interesting. Yeah. So definitely we have you on our list next to still bring you back in here to inspire folks around the world.
It's been lovely. I mean, it's just connecting you guys so much, like energy, enthusiastic. So that's the best thing, like interacting with students. I feel like I'm back, like, it's just amazing.
Amazing. So you will talk about the LEAP program in a bit. I mean, we're not gonna have ask more questions because we spend more of the time, but we will just let you, you needed 2 minutes to talk about something. So I just want to remind you of your 2 minutes. We are not taking it away from you. We want to hear what exactly you wanted to talk about in the last 2 minutes. But just for you all in the chat, we are coming out with a constant amount of stream. We want you to join us. We want you to be part of us. Unlike we used to run only Saturdays, podcast and then maybe Inspire session, we are coming out with Dev to Be developers that you really want, to become. All right. So we have Nandini handling a program right now called Dev to Be, and it will be live on Wednesday. I'm sure it will be 3:00 p.m. my end. That's GMT. So that should be somewhere around 9 p.m. IST instead of 10 p.m. All right. So on Wednesday, and we are coming out with series of stream. I just want you to know that you need to be part of us. We're doing something amazing. There will be Inspire Insights, one of the newest thing that will be coming, giving you more news to whatever is happening in Microsoft, whatever is happening in the Student Ambassador Program, what is going on around you that you need to, take hold of. We are constantly innovating. Thank you so much for joining us today. Samia, your 2 minutes. What do you have to say to us?
Actually, I took part of in the last 2 minutes. I said it earlier. I wanted to give the homework as well. And I wanted to say, guys, please have the mindset is really important. So I wanted to stress on that. Whatever you're doing, whether it's coding, a PM, or any other role. So either whether you are the coding side of techie, if you're a non-techie, wherever you are, it's the mindset that is going to help you succeed in life. So make sure that is in the right place. You are you have that growth mindset, the continuous learning mindset. And the last 2 minutes, I wanted to take them to give the homework. So, and I have already said it. So please, guys, do let me know what is the one thing that you are going to try that you have been too afraid to do it because either you thought you are not good enough or you are afraid or whatever it was. You are going to put yourself out of your comfort zone and do that one thing, whether it's writing a blog post, applying for that job, whatever. So either let me know in the comments, or if you need to think through it, or afterwards, please like DM me. I would love to hear. Either reach me out anywhere on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you want to. I would love to hear that. So that's
amazing.
I can't read the comments, so I hope guys are typing something that the thing that I would try, but I would love to hear from all of you. And
Amazing.
lastly, it's been wonderful to be here with all of you. You guys at all the Microsoft student partners. Before I had been connected with only the Islamabad guys, but I see all of you all around the world. You guys are like such energetic and enthusiastic, doing so much wonderful work. So it's been amazing to connect with all of you and be here today. So thanks a lot for having me. It's been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful conversation. We have series of things going on MSPInspire. We have MSPInspire workshop, MSPInspire session, MSPInspire podcast, MSPInspire newsletter, MSPInspire insight is coming, and it's just in my brain here, right? About what exactly we are going to be doing in most of them. We have wonderful things that we've been doing. We just want you to know that from all of us, everywhere across the globe, you have such positive people who really love you. And whenever you are bored, tune in to watch us talk about more things that would inspire you across the globe. Thank you so much, Samia. You are such a wonderful person.
All of us, high five, virtual high five.
Yay! All right, so Salman, I think you could take it from here. But shout out to Ganesh. Shout out to Shishi. We have the MSPInspire workshop dropped its first episode right here on the channel. Just check it out. It's about natural language processing from Shishi. And shout out to Rohit. Shout out to all of you in the chat. We love you. We think you also love us so much, and we know about that. Thank you so much for taking our time to join us. Thank you, MSP Islamabad. Thank you, all of you. Salman, did you have a trailer to drop on the Dev to Be?
Yeah, so I think Nandini is going to speak about that. Do you want me to play the video before that?
Yeah, sure. That would be great.
Cool. Here we go. Okay, it's
okay.
Is it normal?
I've already played it.
Okay.
All right, Nandini,
like
just drop it out and then we can close successfully. Would you want to say anything about
it? It didn't show on the stream. Let me play it again. Let me play it again. Let me make sure.
Okay.
Okay, get ready for the video again. I know it's not Super Mario Ganesh. Okay, there you go, Nandini. Take it away.
So yeah, I'll just speak about Dev2B a little bit. So it is going to be a series of inspiring stories of developers, obviously developers, and they'll have their great stories and their great consistent journeys, and they'll share their inside journey to where they are and where they were. And this will be premiering next Wednesday, and I am super excited, and I hope you all join in the premiere.
Yay.
Yep.
Awesome.
So
if you want to have some advice to get to Microsoft or any internships, check out my series I'm doing weekly as well on my YouTube channel. I just did one on resumes, so if you do want to watch that, feel free. I'm doing it weekly, so it's all free. Tune in to watch that too.
All right. So Yeah, and absolutely amazing stuff. Also loading up on MSPInspire channel. Recording. I guess you guys like Node.js, right? I'm not a Node developer, but I just it started going back to Node, and I think it's awesome. I need to give you guys some episodes on it. And also, those of you who have never heard of Laravel from PHP community, you love web development. I have some things coming up on these topics for you. So just keep your eyes on the MSPInspire channel. We love you so much. Thank you. And so we meet again on the coming episodes. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.